Imagine, if you will, a time where instead of listening to a band play, actual people playing piano, drums, violin, instead it's a machine that does all three simultaneously, and then some. A time when a machine is made that's supposed to be like an actual person that plays games. And even an instance where a world leader is said to have lost in a game against a machine. Now, this may all sound like some sort of sci-fi story or some other nonsense like that, or even some dystopia about the future. Surprisingly enough, this is actually something that happened in the distant past. Goes as far back as 1 or 2 centuries, perhaps even 500 years prior to this current time. And this is going to be part of my video as I go to talk about the modern trend of AI, and how it's not as different as what we see in the past. Now, to start things off, when it comes to the machines I'm talking about a lot of self-playing devices, as well as like giant organs, like dance organs, like what they would have at fairground and such. Orchestrions, they were called. This is something that I've learned watching videos from YouTube channel Winter Garden on what's called Music Machines Mondays. Very fascinating, interesting history lesson on the whole thing about the past when it comes to attempts at, not so much attempts to automate music, but to have some music making machines to enjoy while you're able to do other stuff. And it is just that. There's also what I was talking about, the whole matter of, well, a machine that plays games. Which may sound weird, but I am actually talking about what is called an automata. Now, of course, a lot of people are more familiar with that word because of the video game Nier Automata, which is named so because, well, that's what you're playing as. You're playing as this robotic character, and automata is an old word for robot, basically. And in the distant past, I forget how long ago, there was one, especially famous one, that's referred to as the Turk, which was basically a chess-playing automata. Of course, years later, it was revealed that learned that someone was actually inside the table that the chessboard's on, and was actually operating the robot like a puppet. So, and it's not really too different from what we see from the virtual landscape, such as VTuber Coragiali playing games of chess, But instead of digital, it was more, like I said, this robot, and has even been said to have played against Napoleon Bonaparte. Hence the little bit that I was talking about before. And this goes to show that things like this have been going on for literal centuries. Self-playing instruments rather than having an actual band. And while there are a lot of people who have fears that all this stuff, especially with AI, is going to come and replace that, well, that does seem like an absurdity. Because after all, if that was true, then the fairgrounds that we go to today would not have a DJ. Fairgrounds of today would not hire a band. And yes, there are fairgrounds, if you go to them, will have hired a band rather than having an orchestrion. Then again, it could be perhaps the fact that there's a lot of maintenance involved. And if you're going to do AI tech, one would imagine that there would be maintenance involved in that as well. So rather than hire a handyman, it's just better off to hire someone who either is a DJ or an actual band, since they're going to be doing the maintenance themselves, rather than whoever's organizing the event. Now, of course, so there are other concerns. Now, I'm not going to get into the whole legal stuff because things are still really murky at the time of this recording about what is plagiarism and what is fair use, even when it's not AI, when it's done by a human. Is it plagiarism? Is it fair use? there's a lot of arguments there, and unfortunately, because a lot of that falls into legal matters, and I do not have a doctorate in law or anything like that, so I cannot really say anything. But what I can say when it comes to the future in relation to that is that it's not going to be the be-all, end-all replacement that everyone thinks. After all, if I'm going to go into examples, like people talk about like the whole thing that Corridor Crew did, the rock, paper, scissors anime. Now, I can understand how people would say that this is going to be the end of animation, that it's going to be a big change, as Corridor Crew puts it, but considering the stuff that I've seen play out and what I've learned, I don't think that would be the case. I mean, after all, going back to VTubers, I mean, one only needs like modern VR headset with the hand stuff, and you can literally recreate the whole thing that Corridor Crew did. All you just need are some 3D models and basically act through it. Come to think of it, I'm kind of surprised that the typical people you see in VR chat aren't doing the same. I'm kind of surprised that people like Lolathon and Cyberchimp aren't doing their own version of rock paper crossblades. They'll watch now that I've said that, and there's probably going to be a video of them doing that. But yeah, like, the funny thing is, though, when it comes to the whole thing with virtual reality and VTuber stuff, that didn't change animation. And I don't think the whole thing with AI is going to change either. As a matter of fact, there's even professional animators who talk about it, and they say the same thing, that there's like a lot of certain things when it comes to AI that isn't as expressive as what you would see from a professional animator. Now, does this mean that people haven't tried? Well, of course not. After all, there are AI music videos. And I've watched quite a lot of them to come to the conclusion that, well, okay, I'm gonna try not to be offensive with this, because I find a lot of them to be dull and uninteresting, especially since it's often this case of always moving forward while everything morphs. And honestly, all you really need is some sort of image editor. Matter of fact, you just take MS Paint, take a picture of yourself, and then do a little change in MS Paint, save as image, go to the next one, do another change, save as the next image, and then you just put them all together in whatever video editor you have, and you basically have something that's identical to AI art. Matter of fact, you can even go further by doing stuff other than the zoom in that AI music videos do. Matter of fact, about the only one that's an outlier, and I swear I'm not doing this because of the games I enjoy, but because this is the only area where I see. Seeing how, once again, I'm going to revisit Touhou Project, because some people decide, okay, take the famous Bad Apple music video and run it through AI over and over, and ended up fixing it to where you no longer have it where it's just zooming in. And it's pretty easy how they did it, making the AI know, well, follow the silhouettes rather than do everything else. And in a sense, if you do that, more so than what was done by everyone else, sorry Corridor Crew, but yeah, like, I'd say it is incredible. So while in a sense you could say, oh, that's going to be the end of it with animation and such, well, no, you could just draw what you want, have a silhouette to do the animation, run the silhouette and your original drawings through the AI, and then the music video is basically created for you, and then create your own song, whether you want to do it manually through AI or basically do it the old-fashioned way and run it through a machine, and record what the machine puts out. But of course, assembly is required for that one, as Winter Garden showed with his marble machine. There's a lot more I can say, but this is basically what I had to say. Is AI going to replace everything? No. Just like how VTubers aren't replacing anything, virtual reality didn't have this big change that everyone expected, something that certain people in big tech are definitely regretting. But then again, some of the people in big tech don't really think the same way as the more successful people, you know. So that's what I have to say about it, you know. Just present what other people are doing. Or if you yourself want to do the whole 3D thing, get VR equipment, put it on, get something to record the action, be it EBS or whatever, and yeah, record it, and then if you want, run it through your video editor and do whatever. Okay, so I'm going to end this video basically like this, give you a view of what the VTuber experience is like, what the whole virtual model thing looks like. And no, this is not done with AI. I am not an AI. This is an actual recording with a 3D model representing my movements, which is tracked through my webcam using a program called VC Face, recorded in OBS because I can't really do the recording with my other recording software. So there's that. A few things I want to say before I end the video. One, this is another option that people have, although you'll need more gear if you want to add like more movement than what I'm showing now. I was going to do a visual presentation to show what I mean when I talked about like how easy the animating is, but I decided no, that's going to take too long to explain, and so I might do that in another video if need be. And if you're wondering what the outcome of that would have been if I had finished it, I decided to put an element of the final frame. Well, I decided to just put the final frame together rather than the whole animation sequence and put it on my shirt. So there's that. Although I had to use extra programs in order to do the design, put it on the shirt, and then put it on the 3D model through another program, Vroid Studio, which is what I use. So yeah, there are a lot of these options that you don't need AI, but at the same time you could still use AI. But that does bring me to another problem that does come with the AI, which is that one, people do think that the AI use would be easier. In some circumstances, it can be, but in other circumstances, you're better off paying someone to do the work or find a means to do it yourself. It really does depend on the project. Unfortunately, some people, including big companies, think that it's better to just get a program to do everything, automation, rather than having say, for example, a specialist. Another problem, like I said, trying to say how this is not AI done. There's now a lot of people think that everything's going to be done with AI. Matter of fact, there's a bunch of students at a Texas university got in trouble because the professor assumed that a lot of their final reports were done solely with AI. So yeah, things like that happen. And just the same, there's a lot of people who don't believe like artists are doing the thing. Like I'm sure there's a lot of people who would deny that my shirt pattern was actually done by hand, which honestly took a month to do because I do have a regular job that I do aside from YouTube stuff. But yeah, and of course there's the subject of deepfakes. I didn't go too into it because of the whole legal thing. But at the same time, the whole matter of deepfake isn't new. That's been around for at least a decade. Matter of fact, a little over a decade ago, there was a Simpsons episode that was talking about it with deepfakes and holograms. The episode is titled Whiskey Business, should anyone be curious of that. But yeah, that goes to show how long ago this whole AI and deepfake stuff has been going on. Is it going to take away jobs? It really depends on the sector. But at the same time, there's still going to be people who are going to want more than that when it comes to the arts, be it visual arts like animation or music. And of course, just as how you can use a pen or some sort of software to do animation, you could also do some sort of full body setup. Kind of like what I'm doing now, except that you're going to need more equipment in order to incorporate like arm movement, leg movement, and stuff like that. So yeah, that's basically what I had to say. That's how I'm going to end this video. So, I am Neko Vermillion, and I thank you for watching.